Have you ever thought what leading MSP websites have that are high converting and convey the visitors to become leads? Well, that's exactly what we are going to be talking about in this video. In order to have one of these amazing MSP websites, you need to have the following things in place. I'm going to read here so I don't forget any of them. So your website needs to convey authority. It needs to convey trust. It needs to have connection with the user. It needs to be clear. It needs to be a mind-reading website, and I'm going to explain what that means in a minute. You need to be pressing the issues. This is something that a lot of MSPs don't do. You need to talk about your team when possible. You need to have multiple contact options. You need to have simple automations in place. And last but not least, you need to provide resources. And I'm going to explain what are the best ways to provide those resources as well. So let's go one by one. Let's first talk about contact options. Okay, your website needs to allow visitors to contact you in as many ways as possible. So you need to have a phone number that is visible all the time, no matter if your website is being visited by desktop or mobile phone. And we know that a lot of the conversions happen from desktop because it's usually people looking on their office for an MSP like yours. So you need to have your phone number available all the time. You need to have a button that is a contact button that is available all the time. Those usually go on the menu. And then across your website and your landing pages and your homepage, you need to have multiple buttons and forms embedded on your website, because you never know when something that the visitor is reading is going to click for them, right? So sometimes it's going to be, if you have a video or explanation about your company, if you are having testimonials there, maybe when they see one, they might feel related to that. Maybe if you have case studies, maybe if you're explaining how you can help them. All these different areas on your website, on your landing pages, or on your homepage can be the trigger that make them think, oh, I want to contact them. And from the time that they decide that to the time that they are able to click a button, you need to make this very easy for them to do. So the probability of them calling you, submitting a form is the highest possible. Okay, so let's talk about what sections you should implement on your homepage and on your landing pages, okay? Obviously, you need to have the menu, and then you have a hero element. The hero element is kind of like the first thing that someone sees, and never ever put sliders there. The reason why is because nobody has the time nowadays to wait to see the sliders, watch each one say. If you are thinking about putting sliders on your website, don't do it. Just take each slider and put it as a section on your website, because then the person is going to be able to skim through the content instead of just trying to wait for the sliders to go and clicking and passing the next one. That never happens. It's horrible. Don't do it. So on your hero section, you need to have a big headline, and that headline needs to explain what you do in very simple terms. Remember, the majority of people that are going to be visiting your website don't have a lot of IT knowledge, unless you're doing co-manage or you're talking on an IT department on a business, but the majority of people don't have a lot of knowledge. So you need to explain what you do in very simple terms. And there's an easy formula to follow, is we help X with Y without Z, okay? And this could be, we help small businesses with IT support without breaking the bank, or it could be, we help small businesses with their IT challenges so they can be running 24/7. So those are simple frameworks and simple recipes that you can use to convey a very clear message. Then on the hero section, ideally, you will have a video of the CEO, the president, or someone in the company, or even all the team, talking about how the company is, the values of the company, some stories about the company. Storytelling sells. I will get more in depth on how to build these videos in another video, so feel free to subscribe to the channel. But you need to have a video there where you can connect with the person. That's the ideal scenario. And then on this hero section, you also have a button that is for requesting a call, a free consultation, complimentary consultation, or going through some resources. Then you need to have another section on your website that talks about the benefits, right? The benefits that your IT company can provide to the businesses that you serve in order for them to understand what it means to be in your hand. You need to have testimonials, you need to have case studies, and you need to have a breakdown of the services that you offer. And then more call to action. So that's A simple way to structure your website or your landing pages and your homepage that is going to be very good, easy to read, easy to look, structured in a way that the visitor is going to be happy by looking at it. Now, your website also needs to convey authority, trust, and connection. And those three things are related to each other. The way that you convey authority and connection and trust is with the following things. One, ideally having a video, as I mentioned, about the president or someone in the company that is talking about the company, because that's going to create authority in terms of looking at someone that knows what they're talking about. It's going to create this connection that it's not going to be just this is a company, but I'm talking or looking at a person. So that creates authority, trust, and connection. Other ways to create those elements is by using testimonials. If you don't have testimonials right now, you need to go after and get as many as you can. If you have some testimonials and they are only written, try to work with your clients that are the happiest clients that you have to get video testimonials. And I will get in another video about how to build these video testimonials. So they are great for the people that visit your website, but you need to have them on your website. You also need to have your accolades, okay? Your partners, who you work with, just as many logos as you can put there. This might sound silly, but people like to be trusted logos that they know. If I see the Microsoft 365, Google Drive, and all the other things that the majority of MSPs work with, that creates some sort of trust. If you have well-known companies that you work with, obviously put those logos there as well. And if you have some accomplishments as well. And if you are able to build case studies that literally talk about either return on investment or either saving time, because this is the two things that the majority of businesses care about, is either spending less money or a return on investment or saving time. You should build some case studies as well to put them on your website so people can read them. So that's how you build authority, trust, and connection, okay? So let's talk about clarity. Clarity, we already kind of mentioned a couple of ways to use clarity, but the easiest way is to just use language almost like if you are explaining something to your grandmother and she needs to understand what you're talking about, right? If you're able to do that, then the majority of the people are going to understand what you are communicating. And if you talk with more IT savvy people, then also have a section there that also can talk to them. So you need to build different sections depending on who you are talking to. So if you're talking to a lawyer, if you're talking to a dentist, if you're talking to a government agency, or if you're talking to a bigger corporation that has an IT department, you need to use different language in different landing pages in order to communicate with these people in a way that is going to connect with them. So easy language also relates to connection because it's going to have people at ease when they arrive to your website and they feel you're talking to them. Which leads to the next point, is the mind-reading website. So how do you create a website that is a mind-reading website? Well, the first thing that you do is you write down all the questions or the questions that are more common that people ask you on your sales calls. And then you put those on your website. The reason why is because if the majority of people are asking you those questions, the people that are going to talk to you have a very high probability of having those questions as well. So when they arrive to your website, if they read that, if they read something that they already had in their mind, then it's going to be amazing because they are going to feel a very strong connection with your website and with your language and with your communication. And that's going to lead them to have a higher probability of contacting you, unlike if you have language that means nothing to them. At the same time, you need to pressure the issue. Now, this doesn't mean causing pain into the people that are arriving to your website, but you need to explain what are the cons if someone lacks the IT infrastructure, the IT support that they could be getting. If you can find case studies of companies that have been hacked, companies that have been down and lost a ton of money because of that, if you can find case studies and talk about that, or you can find information online or in the news about things of that nature, you should be talking about it. You can also talk about stories about how some of your clients had these issues and what it meant to solve those issues. On those case studies, this could be part of pressing the issue, because by talking about a company that you have worked with and you solve an issue that benefited them and caused a lot of pain at the beginning, that's going to put people in their place that they are going to be aware of all the issues that they might be having. And if they are having those issues, they're going to start feeling them, right? And they will be more likely to contact you. Now, if you have a team and you can put pictures of your team, that will be awesome as well, because then you are going to present your team to people that are going to be working with you before they start working with you. And it always feels good to know the people that you are going to be working with, even if it's some pictures and a little bit of a snippet of what they do and what's their position on the company. Something else that you want to have on your website are simple automations, right? So simple automations allow the people that contact you to have a better user experience. So for example, if you have a form on your website, don't stop on just sending an email that says, hey, thank you for contacting us. We will contact you as soon as possible, unless you're calling the people that contact you 30 minutes at the latest, right? If your sales team is amazing and they call 10 minutes after someone contacts you, then that's fine. But if you take a little bit of time on your thank you email, share resources, share information that is going to be useful for them, share these case studies that you have on your website, share these pain points that companies might have if they don't have their IT in place. So everything that we've talked so far, start sharing snippets of that so people can just have extra connection with you. They can come back to your website, they can read more about it. Take into consideration, the more familiar someone is with your website and with your brand, the more likelihood they are going to be working with you. And one of the ways that you do that is just sending them back to your website to read specific resources that talk to them specifically. So that's a great way to create one automation. Another automation that you can create is to have an embedded calendar on your website where people can schedule calls with your team. So instead of going back and forth on emails on, hey, what are the best days to contact you, or start calling and then not picking up and things of that nature, you can have a calendar form after the thank you page when someone submits a contact form for you, and then have this calendar there where they can pick a date and a time, and that's going to minimize the time that is going to take for them to pick up the phone, for you to call them, to create, a day and a time that is right for both. Another way that you can create automation, depending on how your sales cycles is. So for some MSPs, one sales cycle might be 1 week. For other clients, it might be a month. And for other clients, it might be 6 months. So make sure that the people that submit a form or the people that call you, you get their email and put there on a newsletter. If you are able to create a newsletter, then you want to be in touch with these people maybe twice a month, maybe once a week, or something like that. So your company is on top of mind, and that way you are having touch points with them. You are sharing case studies, you are sharing news, you are sharing solutions, you are sharing pain points, and you get them be in touch with your MSP. There are some other automations that you can add as well, like for example, having SMS campaigns. For example, if someone calls you and you miss the call, you can send them a message saying, hey, this is so-and-so, I'm sorry that we missed your call, how we can help you. And sometimes that might work if they are calling from a cell phone. If they are calling from a landline, it won't work, but it's another small automation that you can add to your website that is going to help getting all these people that are visiting you to have a higher probability to contact you. Now, another option that you can have is a chatbot, okay? You can add a chatbot on your website. Those have become very popular. And you can have chatbot automation, right? So you can have a semi-conversation. Ideally, you have a real person, right, that is talking to them. But before you get to the real person, maybe you can start asking some questions to them before, right? It's almost like a contact form, but more interactive. That usually works, and it's going to be another call to action for them on your website to be able to have an extra point of communication and contact. In order to provide resources, you can do it via white papers, you can do it via some documents and some reports that you can offer people when they opt in into some form on your website. You can have a resource section on your website as well that is not gated content, meaning it's available for anyone that visits your website. And you can also provide resources via a newsletter. Now, the main thing about newsletters is that you need to have a very compelling reason for someone to just give you their email and be in touch with you. You know, if you have a call to action on your newsletter that is opt in here, put your email here so we can send you resources, or put your email here to get up to date on the latest news, that sometimes, or the majority of the times, it's not going to be compelling enough, right? You need to give something that is valuable, is more valuable than the effort that takes someone to give you their email, because how many emails do you receive per day or per month, right? It's a ton. So you're competing with an inbox that is already saturated. So you need to think about what are the resources, if you want to capture someone's email, that is going to be worth it for someone to actually give you their email in exchange. If you want to receive resources about website templates and marketing in general, feel free to go to the resource section on our website, put your email there, and I will be sending you some of these amazing resources that are going to make your MSP explode. So if you put all these things together, you have a great website in terms of user experience and lead generation that you can use in order to convert more visitors into leads. In other videos, we are going to be talking about more specific about the website structure. We are going to be talking about what pages to add, and we are talking about more in depth in other topics about how to build an amazing website. So feel free to subscribe to the channel to get notifications on that. That's all for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to write them on the comment section. And until then, have a good day.